How's it going, guys? It's your boy Johnny from the Firearm Convention. So I'm here reloading, and I usually do reviews or just videos of me working on the press. No discussion on it, no telling you what I'm doing about it, because there's so many videos out there that are pretty much talking to you all about that, and some people just want to see the press in action. But lately I've been getting some responses. People just want my opinion on the press, pros, cons, things like that. So while I'm here reloading the last 100 rounds of the day, I probably put about 700 through this today. Figured I would tell you pros, cons, things as the consumer, what you would like about the Dillon Square deal, and things you would not like about the Dillon Square deal. So this is a Dillon Square deal. I've had this press for about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. It was one of my first progressive presses. I went from a single press, Lee, to this press, and I like it. It's a Dillon. The press goes for about new, what you see right here, without the stand. You're looking at about $450. I see them go for. So pros, I like the auto index. So every single time I rotate, put the lever down, it auto indexes. Unlike 550 or some other ones, or like the RL 450s. Another pro I like is that you can get a quick groove with this thing. I can probably put about, when the press is working really well, I can probably put out 350 rounds with primer change, up to 350 rounds, maybe 4 if I'm having a really good day or I'm well rested. Rounds an hour. Good thing about this press by Dillon, it's under their no BS. When I mean no BS, I mean no BS warranty. It's not like the commercial presses like the RL 1100 or the 1050, which are 2-year or 1-year warranty that you gotta pay for all the parts that go with it. That one, the primer didn't feel good. A con to this press, which I've dealt with numerous of times. Ooh, that's what I felt. Let's check that out. That's a split case right there. It's very tight to work on. Unlike the RL 550s and 650 and the new 750. It is tight to work on, like you don't have a lot of room to work on. You're mainly be taking apart most of the press in order to get to, parts, things like that. Hang on, it's got to focus. There we go. I bought this. My boy Josh, which is also admin on the Firearm Convention, he got me this press. He got me the link to the lead on this press, which I'm very happy with. Thank you, Josh. I actually drove 3 hours each way to get this press. I picked this thing up for just around $300, and it was used. It had quite a bit of problems. I pretty much stripped down the entire press when I bought it and rebuilt it by calling up Dillon numerous of times in order to get all the correct parts for it. couple problems with this press, which I've noticed, is that a lot of people that are new to Dillon, they like to get on you get them on eBay. You like to get these tubes that go attach to the primer dispenser, and like to run into buckets, things like that. That works really well on the RL 550. Really well on that if you want to do that. But they all come with cups. You can do that with the 1050s as well. With this one, you're going to get a traffic jam almost every time on the square deals. That's one thing. I had to take this press apart once, I would say in half, just to get all the spent primers out. So now what I do is I keep just a little tray on the bottom, and I just dispense that when I'm done. We'll check that one out later. There we go. Another thing I did do is I did remove the spring right here, the return slide bar spring. It was shifting everything off. It was too strong for my powder bar, my powder measure bar. Don't need it. I'm happy with it. Also, trying to find the correct charge, setting it to the right charge on the square deals is a little bit more finicky than it is on the RL series. Why, I don't know, but once you get it right, you're good to go. They do not make a case feeder for this. I've seen people make them. You can find them on YouTube, but Dillon does not produce one, or a bullet feeder as well. Things I had to replace on this. I replaced both bushings, the plastic bushings for the lever. They were all worn out. Took them apart, greased them up, put new ones in. Shell plates original. I got a new indent spring and ball in there. I have a new indexing paw, which is the piece that throws the shell plate from side to side. If you do buy this used and you do get a new indexing paw, it is highly recommended to sand down the bottom of the shell plate. Okay? What else? This does have your low primer sensor, just like every other Dillon. They can be used from your 550s. It's the same standard one. You don't need a special one for it. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with this press. Future plans with it is I am eventually going to be replacing it and converting the 550 to a 9mm, and maybe using this either as a secondary 9 or run another straight wall cartridge for this. Maybe 44 mag, 41 mag, 38 special, 358, something a little bit unique. Oh, speaking of straight wall cartridges, I did, so it's always good to check it. I did. This will not take any bottleneck cartridges. This is strictly a pistol caliber reloading press. So anything from your 380s to your 44s, pretty much. You'll on Dillon's website, I'll list about 17 or 18 calibers that this thing does. So if you think you're going to be able to get something like a 300 blackout to 223, you're not going to be able to do it on this press. The light does not come with the press, but they have so many different lights on eBay that you should not have a problem finding one as long as it says Dillon, says square deal. It should fit. Been pretty happy with this press. For $450, you're not going to find another press out there. I'm not trying to knock other companies, but I haven't seen a video of a rock chucker outperforming a Dillon. And when you call up, when you break something on this press, like I just recently broke the collar on the primer, actually last week, and I replaced it today. Called up Dillon, it was in the mail, and they don't even ask any questions. The only questions they'll ask once in a while is your customer ID number, which I never know. But it's in the mail, and you're good to go. Parts on this press are fairly inexpensive. Like if you would be buying parts for the 650 or the 1050 or anything else. So for $450 for a new for a progressive reloader press, I say go for it. I don't know if the new style square deals, if they come with a different design than this more block-like design. Taking apart everything here, it's just super tight. It's like working on like the new Toyotas. It's not like working on an old Chevy small block. Everything's coming out, taking pictures. If you're gonna buy one used, I'll tell you what a must is. If the seller doesn't have it, you call up Dillon, or I'm pretty sure you can download off their site. I don't have it here, it's in my filing cabinet because that's the only place I remember it is. I misplace everything's on my workbench. You gotta get the manual. In the manual, it will give you a spec by spec on every model number part. Half the time, I just tell them, I need this collar 73289. I'm making up a number. Boom, it's right there. It's simple to relate, to talk, to convert English to reloading language. You gotta have that manual. So if the owner is selling you one and he has it, take it. He has no more use for it anymore. If you don't have it, you can even call Dillon. They'll mail you one in the mail, or you can get one off their website. But that's a must. And I'm not just speaking for the square deal. I'm speaking for every Dillon out there. Overall, I like this press. Yes, I've sworn at it quite a bit, trying to fix it, but where we've come until where we are, it's running great. One thing you have to realize is that if you're going to buy a light, unlike the 650, the 550, the 750, the 1050, you would put the light in a hole in the center of your tool head, which will look like this, okay, or something like this, okay. In the square deal, there's no hole in the center, so the light goes right here on the side, okay. So just if you're going to put a light on, you're going to want to put it on the left side of your press so that you can see the powder. Put it on this side. There's no reason to put it on the right side. It's going to blind. You're checking your powder level to see if you got powder or not. Speaking of powder, I don't think that they make a low powder sensor like they do on the 650, 550, 1050 for the square deal. Sorry going slow. This is literally my 7th round of the night. When I finish up these last few loads, I'll do a walkthrough. Other than that, it does a very good consistent throw. I did, when I bought it, I did have to mess around and clean up the dispenser and the power bar. Took it all apart, cleaned it up, sanded it down so it ran nice and smooth, and then had to adjust it. When you install your power measure and you replace it on the collar, it's recommended that you grease up the 2 sides of the collar so it has a nice up and down flow, because this is free floated right here, and the only thing that's bolting in here is a set screw with a clamp on the side. Unlike looks like the wire clamps that you see on the bottom of like a disposer or something like that, like electricians use, like you see on the RL 550s. It's just one set screw. So this going up and down needs to be nice and smooth. You can use anything from heat grease to anything like that, white lithium grease. Dillon doesn't really have a grease, I don't think, offhand for the collar as well. But any cons? Another con, which is for all Dillons, not a big deal, not really a con. They say to change the powder, remove the powder back in the case, back in the jar, because it will make this cloudy and it could cause moisture. I haven't had a problem. I used to do that a lot, but taking this off isn't like taking off the 2 screws in an RL series. I usually leave it in there because I'm just reloading so much. I'm going to be back at this within a few days, and I'm always using one type of powder. If you're going to switch off powders and you got the funds for it, I tell people to just get another dispenser, put it on the tool head holder, and you're good to go. Another thing, this thing does not have a swager. Do you need a swager? No. Swagers are used for military crimps. Sometimes people expect swagers in these because they see them on the 1050s. The reason why you see them on the 1050s is because 1100s is because they're doing rifle calibers like 223 that will have military crimps, and just when the pistol caliber goes through that stage, it doesn't make a difference. Just leave it in there. But for this one, it does not have a swager, and they do not make a swager for it because you don't need one on pistol. Usually, you don't need one on pistol calibers. My primers are feeling a little bit weary. My primer pushing, so that's why I keep checking it. Another thing, good tool to have when having the square deal is, hang on 1 second, make sure we're still recording. Yes. Another thing good to have is an air can. You could buy them on Amazon for cheap, $5 to $7 air can. Is because when you don't have a primer in this and you dispense it and powder gets all in here, it stinks to take this thing, the tailpipe off apart, take this off. Sometimes people like to remove the tool head so they can get in there. It's just a pain in the butt. So sometimes you can get lucky during a session when you have like 15 to 30 to 50 more primers left in the tube to just air it out and just keep going. Then after that 100-round session, then take it apart. So that's a good tool for this. The 550s are easy to get, easy to clean. You can use a brush like this, all right, or you can use a Q-tip, things like that. But once powder gets in the square deal, it is a royal pain in the butt to deal with. So that one felt weird. So I always gotta check it. Let's finish these up pretty fast. Another thing you gotta do in this press is you gotta use case lube. You can use Dillon spray, you can use the Horny Hot Shot spray. Keeping this die lubricated is a must, a royal must. Something you can, so you can spray up into it. I do not use any wax. I've seen people use that. Don't use it. All it does is push your projectiles in more, throws off your head spacing. Just don't do it. Gets all the powder, gets all gunky. Then the powder sticks into this die because it rotates to the second station. Do not use wax. Case lube. Another thing I found just with experience is the primer. When that thing goes off, in the RL 550s and up, I find that usually goes off between 5 primers left in the tube and 5 primers left in the tube. And with this, we usually about 3 primers left that'll go off. There you go. It's definitely a good press to learn on progressively. I'll give you that. When this thing is running right, it's good to learn on this press. Pros, cons, get the feel for the primer seating, things like that. So right now, my primers are feeling really squishy, and it's not picking up the primer, so I can feel that right now. That's why I've been kind of focusing instead of talking over here. I'll get to that and try to see what's going on. I think it's my, what do you call it? The piece of plastic that holds the primer in. I think it's bent in a little bit, so the primer pickup cup or the primer pickup bar is not picking up that tube. But one thing, this is good to know when you see me doing this, is to keep going on the fly. So a lot of people will mess around with this and then they'll switch the powder over here and it gets all over the place, or they'll put a projectile in where the powder is, and they'll throw their whole rotation off. So one thing you have to learn on a progressive press is to keep going. Even if you're one station off because something went wrong, you keep going. So right now I have 2 stations empty, and I have a powder right here, a bullet right here, and a primer. and powder here. So now I can that's one thing I was very, coming from the single load, I was very new at. When things would get out of sort or something would go wrong in one station, I just always forgot to keep on going and leave it out so that you don't mess up the next cartridge or anything like that. All right, we're going to stop here tonight. All right, I'm going to bring you up close here. So there she is. I moved that over there because I could get the camera over there. So don't think I keep my dispenser up there. You're like, what the heck? These tabs you can pick up for cheap. They're good for when you want to check your powder charge and you don't want to take a knife and pick up the tabs. All Dillons will come with these tabs here, and you can buy a set of 4 for like $3 to $5 on eBay, any color you like. That's the new powder collar I just put in. Greasing this up over here is a must, so that your powder bar slides nice and easy with that part over there. One thing that people have had problems with is that these springs right here will pop out of place. Focus. Will pop out of place. Dillon does not have a replacement for it. They usually will send you a whole system, or you can do what I did and I just bent the spring. But I know it wasn't a good in-detailed video, but it was more of a consumer review. .124 grain projectiles. Alright guys, thanks for watching. This is my Dillon Square deal. Good press, highly recommended. And then here's my sprint primers, which everything falls in too. Once in a while you get runners over there. But other than that, I highly recommend it. Good price. Pick it up for like $4.50 on Amazon, or you can find one used for like $300 on your local classifieds. But other than that, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and share our channel as well as the video. But other than that, have a good night, everybody.